Okay. Uh, we just stopped at bar stories, so I'd like to start with that with you. Uh, people
Yeah,
not
that's
from here
fucking weird.
do not
No, you're
understand
fine.
the Malort,
People don't understand the Malort. That's true.
and I
Hi,
can
I'm Gil, by the
understand
way.
it.
I was gonna say, can we do a quick introduction again?
I just want to jump in
No,
on
I know.
that.
I can see.
This is Gil. You might remember him from
Gil-
episode
Gil
12
is-
There we go.
and 14.
There we have
Yeah,
it.
there you
it
go.
is. That's the proper etiquette.
I apologize, Gil.
Gil is actually good at doing this. He's just helping us
and
out.
I'm not, obviously.
No, it's okay. We're all in process, baby. It's fine.
Okay, so explain to me the movement toward Malort.
Yeah.
Because it is not something when you first try it
No.
that is a deal.
Right. So I'm also not a Chicago native, right? So I moved to Chicago in 2011. And like most people who come to Chicago at some point, someone decides while we're at a bar to terrorize me,
To christen you.
to christen me, have this shot. And of course, I was like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Yeah, gross, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You might explain the Chicago handshake.
The Chicago handshake is my preferred thing to get at most bars.
There you go.
Which is a shot of Malort and an old style, which is, very light lager. It's a session lager, I would say. But Malort is very famously extremely bitter. It is very caustic. It is not.
It's
Too-
herbal.
I
what
think
would
I think
say.
it's herbal as well.
Yeah.
But it is, the point is, it is not to most people's taste, and it is so like extreme in its bitterness that people use it as a weapon to terrorize their friends who are visiting the city
Until they get used to it.
until they get used to it. So how did I come around to it? Well, I was bartending at a place not so far from here,
Mm-hmm.
in Rogers Park, the Red Line Tap, which was
Wow.
attached to the Heartland Cafe.
Yep.
And it was their sort of like affiliated dive bar with a soundstage. So I was working there with a guy named Tristan, brilliant sound tech guy. He'd be like running the soundboard for these like live shows. And we'd show up at like 5 o'clock to start our shift, but the show wouldn't start until
Till 9 or
8 or
10.
9. And so we started doing this thing where just like kind of as a gag, we'd have a shot of Malort together. And within a couple of weeks, the irony faded. It stopped being a joke. We were like, actually, I like this now. And I have been an unrepentant Malort drinker ever since. It's to the point where like I can't even drink like Irish whiskey now. Is too sweet for me. Like that feels cloyingly sweet
That's interesting.
because
That's
I'm so used to like the kind of like, harsh bitterness of Malort. But I love it. I think it's great.
See, and let's talk a little bit about the history, because the history of Malort was during the time that you couldn't sell alcohol.
Yes.
They basically created this as a medicinal product.
Well,
right?
so they didn't create it for that purpose. Carl Jeppson, for whom Jeppson's Malort is named, right, was a Swedish immigrant. And Malort itself is a variation or like a version of a Besk, which is a Swedish bitter wormwood liqueur.
There you
So
go.
you can find lots of different Besks out there. But yes, that is correct. During Prohibition, Carl Jeppson rebranded what he was selling as a kind of medicinal tonic,
Yeah,
so as to be able to like get around the Prohibition laws.
and sold a lot of Malort.
And he sure did. That's right. I mean, it is like part of like the history of Chicago that like folks not from here don't generally know, which is that there is like this, robust like influence of like Swedish immigrants in
All
the
sorts
cultural
of-
DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
Among others, of course.
Yes, all sorts of immigrants.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we have the entire African American community that moved up here during that period of time. There are all sorts of things that happened here that
Oh
are
yeah.
interesting.
No, it's an immigrant city in every kind of way.
But
It
like,
is.
most of them didn't end up with a liquor
A bespoke liquor
that was only sold in Chicago.
until the other day. The other thing about Malort's history that I'll tell you, because I know, is that it was for a long time produced here in Chicago, and then they opened up a second distillery, and for a number of years, it actually closed here in Chicago, and it
Yep.
was only being produced in Florida.
Yep.
You're kidding.
No, and now they've reopened the distillery in
Yep.
Chicago, and I, a connoisseur and a gentleman, can tell where the has has come from.
Which, yeah,
I can tell.
when you've had enough of it, you can be like, oh, this.
Oh,
batch
this is
came
a
from
Florida
there.
bottle.
Oh, this batch came from up.
This is
you
a
know,
Florida bottle, derogatory.
As fun as that is, I appreciate the fact that no matter what we say, I mean,
Also, vintage
what you've
bottles
said is
before they
when you
first
come
sold
on,
them.
all you need for us to do is put a quarter in. And for you to be in a position to know what you know about Malort is impressive as hell, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I don't know. That's just downstream of my kind of everyday alcoholism and general curiosity about the world.
Okay.
That's a fun combination to live with.
Also, it's almost impossible to become a regular Malort drinker without absorbing a ton of Malort lore
Yes.
for some reason. Have
Yes.
you been to the distillery yet?
I have not actually. No.
Okay.
I should go. Have you?
No, but a friend of mine apparently won a trip. And
Oh, well, damn.
recently
You have
she
to
was
win
told
trips for this?
She can invite anybody she wants, so I will put you on the guest list.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if I should jump the line ahead of you, but I appreciate the offer. We'll see.
I don't think he drinks much Malort, though. You may drink
I
some.
drink more than you do.
Well, that's not saying
I
much.
only have like 4 or 5 shots a week.
Well, there you go. Then you
I'm
definitely.
not
drink more.
Gil level here.
All right,
Anyway.
stop putting my dirty laundry out there.
I'm just saying. I'm
Speaking
old.
of laundry.
I can't do shots the way I used to.
That's fair.
Speaking of laundry,
Yeah.
we've been talking about this among ourselves a little bit for a few weeks. I mean, I gave you the Human Swarm book to look at.
Well, you let me
Fine.
look at it briefly. I didn't get a
Which-
chance to read it.
Well, but my impression was you got more out of it in about 10 minutes than I did reading the whole thing.
That's
so
implausible, but I appreciate
anyway, the interesting thing about this book is it talks about an anthropological issue, and that is for my period of time here on this earth, I took anthropological courses in college in the 60s when people talked about various things that separates humans from other things on our earth. And we went through all sorts of things. Tool making,
Yep.
language,
Sure.
and over this 50 years, all of those things have been destroyed.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that was in various literature over the last few months is the fact that, holy shit, a lot of our primate brothers and sisters are now making stone tools. Okay? And they basically would talk about the fact that primates would use things to basically jab into things to get things to eat and things like that. But there's some other things going on there that are interesting from my perspective. And one of the things that happens in the Swarm book is he talks about the thing that has helped us and made us get to the situation where we are sort of the dominant species here on our planet is the fact that we're able to allow people outside of our specific group into interactions
right.
with us
Yeah.
without killing one another.
Yeah.
And the specific example of that is Goodall's separation of the two chimpanzee groups in Africa, and the fact that a group split up that was large. The larger group of the ones that split up basically went in and slaughtered the group that had actually been members of their group until the split occurred. And my view of things is this clannishness is at one time interesting and at one time one of our biggest issues as a species, meaning we have to be in a position somehow that we separate ourselves by denigrating other portions
Right.
of our community. So,
Yeah.
and I'm now putting a quarter in.
Oh, I mean, okay, sure. That, yeah. I mean, so there's a couple of things that I guess I could say out of the gate. First is that, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about how like the attempted definitions or demarcations. What you need is like some kind of clear criteria by which to distinguish what makes the human different from other kinds of like animal life, and like those just have like continuously broken down. They've proven themselves through both empirical research, or if we're being honest, just like honest reflection, just not to like work. Um, yeah, you mentioned tool use, and like yeah, we could look to primates, but like crows are really good at tools.
Yeah.
They're really good at them.
Among other things.
Yeah, they have like long-term facial recognition and memorial associations.
Yep.
Most bird species are clear. Like, what do you think bird song is if it's not language?
Yep.
Like, this is a mode of like expressive vocal communication. And so like I'm a little bit. I think I'm a little bit skeptical of this project in this book because it's like none of those worked, but this time I found it, and I'm like,
oh no. I totally agree with what
I'm
you're
like,
saying.
oh, why are we still looking for the thing?
I am totally aware that in 10 years this will be totally disproven.
Right? Yeah.
So, but I think he's closer.
But there is something interesting about this, right? Like the capacity that human beings clearly have, both to establish like groups with an in-group and an out-group, and then to allow that boundary to be relatively porous.
Yes.
That is interesting.
Yes.
I'll like I'm for independent reasons. I've been reading a bunch of like anthropological stuff. Most recently, I've been reading a book by Pierre Clastres called "Society Against the State," which its basic thesis is like we tend to think that like the development of like the state, this like highly organized, stratified form of like concentrated like social and political power with like control over economics and like even ideological functions and so on, is like an impressive achievement. But he's like, actually it's like sort of the other way around. If like as an anthropologist and ethnographer, he's like, it seems like most previous societies have been doing their best to stop that from happening. Like they're like active moral and like social norms have been about preventing a state from crystallizing.
See, what's interesting to me about this is it looking at our present situation, and you have sort of distilled the issue, because it appears that in times of stress, for example, if countries go to war, almost all the divisions within the country become secondary to, hey, we all got to get together.
Yeah, there's like a process of like relative homogenization.
Right.
Cultural homogenization.
And that is a stupendous definition of what I'm talking about, because you're in a position that we have the ability to switch on and off as individuals. We can, one of the things I was talking with John earlier is the various ways you're greeted in bars. In Northside bars, if you walk in, everyone turns and looks at you, and you basically sit down. No one throws stuff at you or decides to hit you with an iron bar.
Well, they throw stuff at me, but I'm like,
depends on which bar.
John and I beg to differ.
You have much more experience with bars than I do.
Right. Well, I had much more experience with having
In the
things
North Side.
thrown at me. For good reason.
But what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
there are other bars that you go to that are, holy shit, hi, how are you? Glad you came in, and everything else. So there are differentiations between what we're talking about here. I mean, I understand the reasons for this. I mean, you're in a position that in a anthropological situation, if you're a chimpanzee, you're in a position that you want to make sure that you have the resources to survive, very on a sort of simple level,
Sure.
and that other people or things coming into your quadrant are a problem as far as that's concerned. And the interesting thing for me is this is something that's extended in our political environment to be a method of dividing us, meaning
Yeah.
these immigrants took your job.
Right, right,
These immigrants did this or whatever bullshit you want to talk about. And on one hand, we're able, if someone walks in here, there is no one that's going to get up and pick up something and hit them in the head. There's no way that's going to happen. Unless it's Pruitt. That's another matter.
If Jared Kushner walked through the door, I'd throw something.
Yeah, there are some people who, if they walked in here, I mean,
I can pretty much guarantee that Jared Kushner
I'll like double down.
is not coming in here.
I was just complaining.
I'm just saying.
I was just complaining to my friend over there that like I'm now relegated to blue sky because I've been permanently banned from Twitter, and the reason why I got permanently banned from Twitter a couple of years ago now is because I was like, well, if I ever see Nick Fuentes on the street, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Well, what's interesting,
and if he
to
walked
me,
into the Oasis, I'd be going to jail tonight. That's the end of that. Sorry.
The interesting thing is,
I would wipe the footage and we would all say he just fell over dead. We have no idea.
The interesting thing about what you just said, I am also banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You don't know why?
No.
Well, I know why.
Wait, you know why he was banned?
Yes, but I'm not allowed to say.
I understand why he was banned. That's another whole matter.
Yeah. Okay. So to go back to like the sort of like basic sort of intuition of this thought that you.
The question I have is how do we get beyond this shit?
Well, I mean, like I think that there are like different ways of belonging to a social group, or different ways of like understanding yourselves as being a part of something. And the like for instance, like right now, I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm teaching a class right now on this book called Anti-Oedipus, which is very weird and very difficult in a lot of ways.
Well, it's a philosophy course, so
it is a philosophy course. So it's first of all, it's annoying,
which is a philosophy course.
But worse than that, it's like 70s French annoying. Like, I don't know if it
Foucault. We're talking about.
We're talking about Foucault, contemporaries.
Okay, you're talking about people that if I were to say this sort of thing in front of a conservative, they would immediately be projectile vomiting.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. But like they do talk about though that like there is like a kind of a weird primacy to people like identifying with like racial groups.
Yeah.
And that seems to be true. Like I think most like progressive minded people wish it were not the case that like these categories have the salience that they do, but they do. They do carve out like the social world in an important way, and belonging to them has outsized effects in terms of like what kinds of like life chances you have.
Yeah.
And also, but then also like on the that's the obviously negative side, but on the positive side, like oppressed groups, marginalized racialized groups like use that as like a positive anchoring for like the development of their own like cultures.
Yes.
And those cultures like are often like in opposition to the homogeneity of like what capitalism does, flattening everything out.
The interesting thing about that, from my perspective, is looking at history and what happened in Tulsa, for example.
Sure.
Is the fact that the African American community.
Well, I mean, the Tulsa experience. Like, I'm sorry, I should let you finish.
No. What I'm saying is, Tulsa, they had developed their own economy. They had all sorts of things going on that were positive. And what happened in that case was the white. I'm not sure what started it. My feeling is the people that were white and in power did it because they wanted to basically destroy that.
Yes.
And they basically created a situation where they pointed poor white people at this and said, wait a minute here, these black people are doing really well and you're screwed.
It's almost a perfect example of like the way that like um you know class conscious like struggle against like capitalist oppression can be radically diverted by means of like racist like reorientation, right? Because like Tulsa's also like a really important, I think, historical example against those who, and there are people to this very day who think that like the way forward for like the struggle of black people in the United States is by way of like developing like a relatively autonomous
Yes.
black capitalism.
Yeah.
And like that is just never going to fucking work. It just never will work. And it won't work for like at least a couple of good reasons. One of which is that like the amount of capital that they would theoretically be able to marshal would never be enough to like do anything about like white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
But also like in a second moment, the like forces of white supremacy like will just be like, no, fuck you. And
well, no, because they're in a position that what they look at is a black entrepreneur that does well in selling things to African Americans is taking business away from me.
Well, that depends, right? This is case by case. That is sometimes true. I mean, like Tulsa is like an odd instance because that wasn't really the case. Or we could say the same thing about like Atlanta today, right? Where there's like a very privileged like black bourgeoisie, and like they're not taking away opportunities from white people, white capitalists, right? But like it means that like of necessity is like limited in scope and cannot help but reproduce the same kinds of like exploitative relationships.
Let me ask you this question: Have you watched a thing on HBO called The Gilded Age?
No.
One of the interesting things with this is they developed in that, and I think this was a function of our view now more than what it was, a dual society in New York City of really wealthy white people and sort of wealthy black people that developed their own society that I'm not sure really existed at that time. But it makes a good story for us now that there were these African American people that developed this other society. And it's in some ways, this is just odd because my brain is like a fucking shotgun in a lot of instances. Do you listen to Camille Paglia at all?
Camille Paglia?
For fantasy or humor?
No, I do not.
Okay. She is an interesting person.
She's a wild
she is totally a wild card.
Completely.
And if you were to talk to her, she would admit to that.
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
But what she's talked about is how things have changed since the 50s and the fact that there was a woman's world and a man's world and there are all sorts of things going on there that are really sort of bizarre from my standpoint. But
well, no, I think that there's like a truth content there that like the formerly rigid distinctions between things like productive industrial labor coded masculine and like
family
reproductive labor that done like for the sake of like the family, which is coded like feminine and like done by mothers and wives, like these things have been breaking down.
Yes,
they have been,
but they from my perspective they've broken down not because they didn't work but because specifically the people that are in power have forced everyone into a position that there is no choice for most people right now.
Yes,
both the woman and man have to work.
Yeah, I mean, it is an unintended. So one of my favorite like articles about this or essays that I can like recommend to your listeners is it's by Nancy Fraser, and the article is called "Feminism, Capitalism, and the Cunning of History."
Yeah.
And it basically tells the story of how like second wave feminists were making these demands that made a lot of good sense about how like their exclusion from the workforce like felt like a real problem. The ways in which that they were like coordinated as like only reproductive labor felt like infantilizing or demeaning or so on. But because they had an insufficient like critical relationship to capitalism, that like it was actually pretty easy for like a third moment like neoliberal capitalists to be like, I'll answer all of your fucking critiques. Welcome now to the workforce where you're just as exploited as everyone else, where you no longer have any like security whatsoever. And like now, in fact, we can use your like greater share of participation within the labor force as a lever.
I should have seen this coming from the left-wing person.
Yeah, but it's true though. That's sort of what happened, right? Like
I totally agree.
And the point is not that like those like first order moment like complaints were correct. They were right.
Wait a minute though.
This is
really there's an interesting discussion about this. There was a French communist lady whose first name was Simone
de Beauvoir.
Okay, there you go. Who got into a discussion?
Baby, you gotta talk to me about de Beauvoir.
Okay, who got into a discussion with a lot of the feminists from here. And one of the things that was said during the discussions that's really interesting as far as I'm concerned was the American person that was talking, and I don't know who it was saying, we need to give women the choice to move into the workforce. And Simone said, no, women have to move into the workforce and to become, in order to become equal. Okay, and so there's some interesting wiggle.
I don't know this like conversation specifically. I'd love to chase that down.
Yeah.
I will say that like de Beauvoir is amazing. I mean, like her book, The Second Sex, basically inaugurates modern feminism.
Yes.
There is no modern feminist movement at all without The Second Sex. But also, like, very slept on is another one of her books called The Ethics of Ambiguity. Mm-hmm. Honestly, one of my favorite books of all time. Like, okay. I think that if you like pick that text up and like listen to what she's saying about like, you know, she says things, for instance, like that, like, you know, failure is not just an unfortunate outcome, but a condition for the possibility of anything meaningful ever happening. And that like the only thing that makes sense is to orient yourself as like a free being towards like freedom as an end. And by that we mean liberation in the form of the liberation of others, not just myself.
Yeah.
I think that like it's a perfect ethics. Like I don't think there's any way to draw any bad conclusions from it, and there's nothing good that I don't think I could get out of it.
But see,
and it's also like just like fun and beautifully written and a blast actually.
It just I think that there's always in this country been a division, and this is what's interesting to me among women about this, because you have more, I don't want to say conservative, but more women oriented towards, I'm going to stay home and raise a family.
Sure.
And those that are in a position that they say, I want to live my life as I want to.
Yeah.
And as a free society, we should say, go for it.
Yeah, why not?
As a free society, we should say to transgenders, go for it.
Yes, of course.
As a free society, we should talk to gay people and lesbians and African Americans and Hispanic people. Go for it. We want you to succeed. We want you to be a good member of our society.
Yeah.
And yet, because of what we're talking about here, meaning the fact that we are clan oriented, that can be used against us.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that like it's obvious to me that like
thank God.
Oh, he's correct. It's obvious to me that like there's no like good faith interpretation of like you know, feminist movement and practice that doesn't recognize that it is in fact about emancipation. Mm-hmm. And if it is about freedom, then yes, if some people want to live quote unquote more traditional lives,
yes,
that is fine in their business.
Yes.
I don't know a single feminist who would be like, no, you're not allowed.
Simone was another one though. She said that it has to be moved into.
Well, no, but at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like every like authentic feminist or genuine like thinker that or activist that I know is like, this has to be
Yes.
coupled with critical reflection and practice.
Exactly.
And like, if someone says to me, hey, the thing that I really want is this thing that could be like identified as being politically retrograde,
Yeah.
like, you don't get to get that without being challenged. You having like the free ability to do it means also that like other people have the right to say, hey, here's why I think that is politically retrograde.
But see, the interesting thing to me is
By the way, this is not even a left position. This is just
No.
liberalism.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that's interesting to me about this discussion is if you talk to conservative people, they will beat on their chest and talk about freedom and everything else
Yeah.
until they get into a position that, oh, holy cats, gay people or transgender, holy shit. Yeah.
So there
I
are like
believe
there are
in
like two,
freedom.
there are two
Right,
different
freedom.
things happening there. Like one of them is that like there is like I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say there are two different things happening there. One of them is like they're actually not about freedom. They're actually not. They in fact like the form of conservatism is about the preservation of hierarchies. Most fundamentally. Like we have inherited a series of social hierarchies, and
Mhm,
it is
mhm.
trivially easy to enumerate them. White people, black people, men, women, uh, you know, heterosexual, homosexual, cis, trans,
Yeah,
etc.
yep,
Blah
yep.
blah. And the way-
Everybody that's here.
and they all intersect with each other in ways that
Yeah.
are like create better and worse like life outcome chances for various people. Conservatism says it's about freedom, but really what it likes is the hierarchies themselves.
Oh, well, more than that, your freedom as long as you believe what I believe.
Yes,
I mean,
and
that's
and what we believe is in service of the hierarchy.
exactly. I mean, I could. The, the amusing thing to me is when I hear a conservative person say, America is a Christian country and we need to do that. And what blows my mind about that is, okay, what Christian?
Yeah, talk to me about Christ.
Are we talking about Mormons? Are we talking about Catholics?
Very funny,
Are
by
we
the
talking
way.
about what-
You all must have seen that just in this past couple of days that the Department of
Oh,
Defense
yes.
declared that Mormons aren't real Christians.
Exactly.
well, they took them off the list entirely. Then they put them back on.
Oh,
the
they
list,
put them
but
back
not as
on.
a Christian.
They put them
religion.
back on when
interesting.
there was
They are now
the
no longer
rail up.
considered a Christian.
Yeah,
Still in they're back in the faith list.
but see, again,
It's very funny.
you're in a position that until we can get beyond the I'm right and you're wrong and say to a person, as long as you're not hurting me or
Well, okay, so
affecting
like
me.
I was just thinking about this, like
Okay, go ahead.
so I'm like I am committed. So okay, let me frame it like this. I am a leftist, and a lot of
And surprisingly, I think we all are here.
yeah, I think so too. But like a lot of the time, leftists like oppose themselves to liberals, and the reason why makes sense because liberals are willing to compromise with conservatives and with capitalism and even with fascism a lot of the time in ways that leftists think you should never make those compromises.
Well, I'm really interested in having this discussion. So let's.
However, I think that like that said, like I'm not an illiberal leftist.
Yeah.
I think that like a lot of the baseline values of liberalism are really important, and one of them is value pluralism.
Exactly.
Right? The
Exactly.
idea that like we can all have different systems of values, and
but
like,
we still can get along.
and we can get along and live together, and it's fine. And I don't need to convince you, and you don't need to convince me.
But see, the interesting thing is there's sort of a dichotomy here that you've created. And what I learned, being foolish enough to be involved in government at one point, was in order for the system to work, if democracy is to work at all, which is another whole question that we could talk about for decades.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
And we have sort of beat that one to death in other areas. There has to be a situation where you can work together. and compromise. Now, my feeling is compromise is not a dirty word in specific instances.
Sure.
I would not compromise on someone that said we need to kill all the Jews.
Right. We're not compromising with the Nazis.
Right.
Right. But like someone who thinks that the tax rate should be higher, we can compromise.
Exactly.
You know, like
Exactly. There are. It is to use another term. It is a spectrum.
yeah,
You're
sure.
in a position that you can go to a conservative person and say, "Hey, I can't agree with you on a lot of things," and I'll give you my famous example, which is the work that Lyndon B. Johnson did during the '64 series. He went to Republicans to pass things like the Voting Rights Act and things like that because half of his party was Southern Democrats and said, I know this is going to screw things up. He said to other people he thought a generation or two in the South would not deal with Democrats, for example, because of dealing with this and doing the right thing. But he went to Republicans and they helped him pass that. And I would say that Dirksen, who was the senator that ran the Senate at that time from here in Illinois, knew that, but went along with it though too, because he thought it was the right thing to do.
Like strategically, politically. Like
I'm not sure just strategically, politically. I think he thought this may be the right thing to do also. But he saw that there was an outcome politically that could be positive for him.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's interesting. I'm trying to think about like the analogies to like present day like debates in the discourse.
I'm not sure you can because they don't
No,
compromise
nothing's going to be
anymore.
one-to-one for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, for instance, that like I know I have gotten into arguments with people about, as a matter of electoral strategy, whether we should, as people on the left or progressives, like talk about trans issues. And I think we have to. I mean,
Talk about what now?
like trans issues.
Okay.
And like the counter arguments are things like, this is like a very it's like what, like 0.5% of the population
See,
are trans people.
I look, and we've had these discussions before because John is much more aware than I am on it. I celebrate the fact that people can live their lives as they wish.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
under attack.
And that is a massive problem right now. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And we can walk up and down Rogers Park and see trans people all the time.
We can.
I mean,
this is a very special place.
It is very special,
this
and I
reason.
love it here because of that. But I have never once thought, holy cats, that's a trans person. I should pick up a stick and beat them.
Well, you have not, but unfortunately, like the two things I want to say about this is that like
Okay.
quite a few cis people
Would do that. But see, what I would say is that's very similar to what happened with gay people.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. No, it is.
Exactly.
And this is why, like, so like the point I think I'm trying to make is that like there are certain like segments of the left who are like, that's a niche issue because it's such a small group of people.
But it's not a niche.
But it's not a niche
It
issue.
is not a niche.
In exactly the same way that like not fighting for gay rights in the 80s was not a niche issue. That was an abdication of a moral responsibility.
Exactly.
Like these are people who are being targeted.
But
now.
Exactly.
And like you stand with them or you're not a progressive.
If you're in a position, do you believe that what our country is about is individual freedom? Being in a position that you look at transgender people as any other thing, as a person that is living their life as the way they want to, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
You're taking philosophies that have been given to you by religion.
Well, yeah,
or
no,
politics,
again, that's what I mean when like the
or
Republican Party is
whatever
not
thing.
conservative. In fact, like, okay, so another point I think I want to make here is that like the Republican Party under Trump is not conservative by any.
Oh no.
reasonable-
You don't need to say that.
I know
If
you know
look-
this.
If you
They
look-
are revolutionaries.
If you look,
They are fucking revolutionaries.
If you
In the
look,
worst
and
way.
in
what
the
is
worst
that-
way, in the worst direction.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
that's
like,
right.
oh, it's time to reshape society.
Yeah.
yes,
And they're doing it actively, like as fast as they fucking can. Because,
but
like the Jacobins, they
the
know
interesting
they've only
thing-
got a little window.
the interesting thing about that is
2025.
Yeah, it's almost over, but like they're doing so much damage. Anyway, sorry.
the interesting thing, as far as I'm concerned, with that is the pushback on people that I would never have supported. I would never have supported Brooks, the conservative commentator, or Cheney.
David Brooks.
Yes, David
I mean,
Brooks.
I don't support them either now. Why?
But what I'm saying
Why are you
is,
tempted?
but what I'm saying is, those people are rebelling against what the Republican Party has
I
begun.
disagree. I think that you've got the wrong read on them.
Okay, I'm interested.
I mean,
in
I
that.
mean, neither of them has like said anything like significant in public life for like 15 to 20 years.
Well, they said they hate Trump. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. That's not enough for me. That's not enough for me to like
no, but what I'm saying,
legacies.
but what I'm saying is, they're saying that
They're allowed to hate Trump.
They are saying we have lost our way as conservatives. Now, whether you believe that way is a reasonable thing is another whole matter.
I think that like if you David Brooks is okay. I want to like take David Brooks out of it just for the moment.
Do you want to pick
because-
Cheney instead?
Yeah, let's talk
Okay.
about Cheney.
Okay.
The reason I want to like take David Brooks out of it is because he's so dumb in like in like a specifically like cultural elite way.
Oh, he agrees with that. He
Yeah,
doesn't
no, he
even. He
knows,
doesn't even.
but
touch
it doesn't
that,
make
touch that.
him less dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheney was like an operative who was pursuing a political project that
Oh,
was
absolutely.
consistent and coherent from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
And I think in the bones of it, his project is consistent with what Trump has been about.
In portions, what's happened
Mostly.
there? Yeah, mostly you're
Mostly,
correct.
yeah,
Mostly you're correct.
Which is like, let's just go ahead and tick them off. White supremacy is correct. Bitches get back in the kitchen, and we ought to own the Middle East. And in fact, I mean, Trump added a new variable. We ought to own South America too while we're at it.
Well,
we kind of did before.
and
but
Greenland,
we're just
and
we're
Greenland.
just taking
You
it
can't
back.
forget Greenland.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh
like,
my God, I haven't thought about Greenland. In a
I
year.
see only continuity here.
Gentlemen, 5-minute warning.
5-minute warning.
I feel
Thank
like
you very
it's
much.
time for summaries.
You want a summary? Ask me a question.
How do we?
What? Okay, I'm going to ask you a good one. How can we get out of here?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, like,
I'm just gonna walk out the door. Myself.
I'll just say, I'll say the same thing that I always say. That like, I want more people to be thinking in a structural way at the level of like the systems.
I want more people to think about other people rather than themselves.
Yes. And
that, I think that's the whole basis of it. To have groups of people that consider themselves to be Christian.
we can in fact throw this back at them, right? Like
Yeah.
Christians, like I love Christianity. Like I'm not kidding. Like read
has-
everything that like
It has
Christ
positive things.
No, throw it back at them because it is a universalist doctrine of being about helping others even at your own expense.
Exactly.
And like that is something that we can leverage. What do we do about this? I actually think that like local politics is really important.
But see, I look at. I was heavily involved.
We're in a moment right now.
politics.
We're in a moment right now where like national level politics is like crazy hated. It's
But see, this has been discussed for decades.
Yeah.
You know, the Democratic Party made a big deal out of. We need to get down in the local elections and
well,
things like that.
let me say like connecting back to something I said
Yeah.
before, like figure out where you are and have principles and stand on them. don't cede any ground. Support people who you think like are actually invested in
Yeah.
this. It's what we have right now, unless it is time for the revolution. And
Please,
I would love that.
tell me about the rabbits, George.
But I don't think it's revolution time. Would love to be wrong. Let's get the guillotines out. In the meantime, take electoral politics seriously and do local community organizing.
I think we are closer than what you think.
Oh, I think so too.
Because if everyday people's lives are not being affected by what's going on, yeah, we can get into all sorts of philosophical discussions about this and that and everything else. But if you go to a middle class person, or especially a poor person right now, and talk to them and say, what's going on in your life right now? It is a shit show.
It is a disaster.
And that is the big weakness that conservatives have right now. Is I've talked with John.
There's like the like cult of like Trumpism
Yes.
crashing against like frankly economic reality.
But see, one of the things I talked with John about and some other people is I could run for House or Senate in Iowa with one thing. I'm going to break up monopolies. And I believe I would win that because the farmers and the people that are in those states have been destroyed by monopolies.
Yes. And that is good.
But then there has to be something on top of that.
Yes, there has to be a positive program.
Exactly.
Like the thing is like you have to give people something they want.
Yes. And
it's not hard. It's not hard to envision.
This goes back to the Greek thing, and I know you wince every time I bring this up, but the Greeks always thought, from my perspective, the ones that didn't like democracy, is that we would be in a position that what would ultimately happen would be the governments and people in charge would be shoveling shit in people's direction based on what they wanted and basically fuck everything up because of that, which is sort of the situation we're in right now. But the major problem is what we're shoveling to people is to wealthy and billionaires rather than everyday people.
Right.
So we are totally on the same wavelength here as far as I'm concerned. But John has been quiet because we talk too much.
Revolution time. I'm
Well,
sorry.
we're out of time. Right?
Again.
It's time to get the pitchforks and the torches out and storm the castle.
Well, the problem.
Yes.
The problem. With,
Unironic. Not a joke.
No.
Arrest me.
The problem with that is the farmers have all the pitchforks. But that's another whole mess.
Which is why we got to get the farmers on our side, and everything is going to be good.
Anyway, should be on our side.
Anyway, we're done here. This has been a stupendous
Thank you, Gil,
discussion.
for joining us.
Yeah.
Sorry I was quiet, just sitting over here making faces the entire time.
As far as I'm concerned, I stupendously love every time you come on.
Thank you.
Because, number one, I agree with you, which is the major issue anyway.
That
If I got
should
someone else
be the
on,
main thing.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I think you're thoughtful, you're a good person, and you're trying to do what's best for everyone, which is a lot different
Not
than
for everyone.
other.
I think you're okay.
Thanks. That makes better sense to me.
But
That's high
sometimes we
praise coming from
got to. I think the next thing we got to talk about is what's going on in higher education.
Oh God.
Now, the
I wanna know what's
problem
going on
the
in
problem
lower
I have
education.
with that, the problem I have with that is I don't want to
You're
do
starting
it.
the conversation right now.
No.
Good.
When you are.
But
We're
what
like next time we should talk about this. Let me begin my discourse.
But the problem I have with that is this. If we really talk honestly about what's going on in higher education, that's going to affect your ability to be hired.
yeah.
He's out, folks.
No, I mean like
So
I'm
I'm
never gonna be hired.
But I don't want to put you in a position that you're harmed by talking about things.
Oh
with
goodness
us.
gracious, baby! Like,
Nobody's watching. Us.
I'm not that fucking gracious, and I'm
no,
certainly
no,
not
no.
a
You have to
baby.
understand. Like, I've already made this choice when I started doing my podcast 3.5 years ago. My public presence has already made that decision for you. You're
Oh,
fine.
Okay.
You can't hurt me.
Now, in fairness for that, now's the time for your plug.
Oh yeah.
Gil
Oh
has
yes, yeah. I have a podcast. It's called What's Left of Philosophy. You can find it anywhere.
one more time, in case they missed what you said.
It's called What's Left of Philosophy.
There you go.
Go look it up.
It's
great.
really good.
It is. I've seen a number of their podcasts.
I mean, I'm stupid, but my cohort is my co-hosts are really
listening
really
to
smart.
this, you know that's
and our
not
guests
true.
are really good. Yeah,
That's not
I mean,
true.
I'm dumb as shit, but like it's
You
it's
know
lovely.
that's not true from what we've had right here. Gil is one of my favorite people in the world, let alone someone to come on here and talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, you're a good person, and that's
Well, also none of your business.
being a good person is all that matters.
All right, and with that,
Close
Thank
it
you
out.
to everybody. Thank you very much. Hopefully, people will like this. I'm not sure.
remember to go vote.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely get out
And,
there.
hey, no matter what you feel like, vote.
I think you stopped recording.
No, not yet.
Oh, no.
I mean, this is the most important thing. I don't care what you believe. Get out there and support the people that believe what you believe. Period.
All right, say goodbye.
Goodbye.